know what you mean. So
thank you for this, for participating.
of course.
I've enjoyed your energy this whole time. You listen, I show you to do something, you follow directions, and I appreciated that. Okay.
Well, I appreciate all the direction. It's been super helpful to just kind of have like a step-by-step guide on what exactly I would need to do to get started in this. So yeah. And
hi.
Here's my
Hey,
wife.
how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So you've been through this process with us, sort of in the background a little bit.
Yeah, very much in the background, but yeah, sorry I couldn't join on my calls. But it's been great to have, your knowledge and help. So thank you.
Good. So I haven't really spoke to you as much, but so how being in the background, how have you felt about sort of the evolution and the progression?
It's been good. It's gone a lot faster than I thought it would, which is nice though, because it's like, I know Rob's wanted to do this for a long time. So it's been nice to actually be able to make some progress on stuff and get there. And I did watch a couple of the training videos with Rob this trip. So that's been helpful as well to kind of be on the same page with him that way.
And so how do you, and I'll get back to you, Rob, I swear. But so how do you feel about so it can be a little unsettling, like, hey, let's look for these low price houses because, people have had problems with them if you don't know how to navigate them. And Rob,
Right.
you know how to navigate them, but there's a lot of thought that needs to go in it, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense that people just were buying things that I wouldn't have touched with a 10-foot pole, right?
Right.
So how was it when he first sort of brought this up in this price range versus now for you?
It's been interesting because it's kind of like it's a little tricky to find something that is in the price range and that's going to work. So that's been like made me appreciate more the work that he's put into all the research and how much time you have to spend just really scoping everything out and planning. So
yeah, it's a lot of strategy before we execute.
Right.
And people think it's sort of the opposite.
Yeah, but
that doesn't set you up for the best success.
Yeah, it makes more sense to do.
Okay. So where I was before actually joining your program, I was highly interested in this kind of stuff. I had read your book beforehand. I had gone to some of those rich dad, poor dad real estate training things, and those were a little outside of my price range, so I didn't really do much in that. So I was looking for a kind of a different option, and that's when I stumbled on one of your Facebook posts because I had been part of your Facebook group for a while, and it was the 3-month program thing. And so I thought that would be kind of, if not really like, spurring me on to do anything else, at least it would be informative. And so I talked to Maddie and we joined that. So that's kind of where I was and where I came from. Right now, obviously we are in Missouri, and we went and looked at a bunch of houses yesterday, and there were a lot of them with moisture problems. So
okay.
Yeah. So we're going to go out and continue doing that. Our real estate agent is a little bit busy today, so we're going to pick that up again tomorrow.
Okay.
But yeah, overall, just the process of going from where we were to where we are now in such a short period of time, it's kind of confidence inspiring to just see the drastic change and improvement of our knowledge base, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I've really found your program to be super helpful. Especially, I was a little skeptical about the whole group aspect of it a little bit. I'm not really like a group project type person or anything like that, but it has been amazingly helpful to every week see what my next week's step is going to be and what kind of results I should expect to get.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but to see it done multiple times, just kind of that repetitive nature of things, just kind of burning it into your mind, what you should be doing. That has been just astoundingly helpful. So I'm grateful for that.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it like you literally can't you literally can't stop. Didn't you, like you can try, but you can't sit and look at all the people you've been talking to for 5 weeks, seeing their houses. They flew out, they're there, they're on the ground, they're getting the houses. You literally can't be around that and not want a piece of it yourself.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't, like it's like impossible for you not to go, well, I can do this too. So we're like, let me get my house because, right? Because there's money to be made. It's here to be taken. And I'm, you know, I can do it just as much as anyone else. And that's what I like the group for, especially. Tell me what was one of the most surprising things you found out that was, you're like, oh, there has to be like some point where you're like, huh, wow, I didn't hear about any of this, or I didn't see this, or I didn't know. Was there like something that happened where you were just really, you guys could both offer your viewpoint, because I think that's sort of interesting to see what insights that really sort of struck you.
I guess I guess there were a couple things that were surprising to me. I guess one of them was, and I still don't have this quite figured out how I'm going to do it, but to hear you talk about revitalizing some of the homes. I think in one of the videos that we watched this week, you had like it was like a 6-week turnover or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess in my mind, I thought it was going to be at least a couple months or something like that to do significant renovations and get something in a livable state. So that was kind of eye-opening and like, wow, this is actually a much faster process than I thought it would be. I also, and I had read this in your book, so I don't know why it was like so shocking to me, but the oh yeah, crime was on a block by block basis. Like
people don't understand what that means.
Yeah, and I guess maybe when I read it in the book, I didn't fully understand what it meant or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was shocking, and even when well, not really shocking, but eye-opening. And even when we came out here, we were walking around in some of these neighborhoods that, looking at the crime reports, you know, you'd see a couple of assaults within 4 or 5 blocks or something like that. But the blocks that we were actually walking on, we felt totally comfortable in them.
Right. Yeah. You're like, oh, okay. So you took a risk. You're like,
Yeah.
This might not work out. It might be exactly what, you know, that perception was, but you did it anyways. And honestly, just taking the first step is how you get to reality, not the paradigm that people want to give you. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you do it anyways. And you're like, yeah, no, I could be here all day. Like, I'm cool. Like, what's the problem?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we even talked about that on some of the houses that we were looking at yesterday. We were like, we feel totally fine here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I'm glad you said feel, because I'm very logical. I'm very left brain. I'm an engineer. I'm system oriented, correct? You know that, right? Very much. We can do analysis, a very detailed analysis. However, there is also your spirit and your intuition. Listen, how you feel if you got someplace and you felt uncomfortable, smart people know you need to listen to that, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, you have to go, because you need to get a feel for it. Your subconscious mind is taking in every single person that's around, every input. It literally can sense danger, right? Or not. Yeah. So if you get there and you're like, well, I thought it might be this, but the reality is I feel extremely comfortable. That matters. And there's other people who would go to a cheap property and feel uncomfortable and buy it anyways. You messed up from the whole start from ignoring that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You messed up. It's not going to go anywhere good from here. But they chose to ignore that because their eyeballs, and it was a cheap property, but not every cheap property needs to be purchased by you. They can be purchased by me, but I know what I'm doing, right? But you, like, yeah, you know, you knew from the very beginning something was off. You just chose to ignore it. And we all know we all know where you end up when you ignore that feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's such a big part of like, I'm sorry, you can't do this from afar. You got to go.
Yeah, you have to see that person.
You have to. I know people want to, but that's where money gets lost.
Yeah.
The money gets made when you go and you feel it yourself and you're like, I feel comfortable with, if my wife had to come here without me, if I had to come, she feels comfortable. that's when you start getting a business that, even though everyone thinks is like crazy or might be full of crime, but that's when you get a business that you can sort of be proud of and very happy with the results. And for me, if you work with me, that is just as important as the money. I don't do things just for money, right? You have to actually be happy and proud of the end results and very comfortable with everything you've done. That's the culture, of Lisa, right? And I really stick to that. And sort of listening to that inside, like going to feel the place out, putting your boots on the ground, that's part of that. It's sort of honoring the other aspect as well. So I'm glad to see you guys are like, I feel good. You're like, I'm a little surprised, but I feel great. You're like, where's the cry?
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be here. Y'all looking for it? No, it's not here. Okay.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
Block, and also it's just, to me, like, I mean, I haven't been as involved, but it's surprising to know like that you don't have to have a ton of money to get started on it. And that's like, to me, that's, yeah, because I would just think you would need a lot of time and a lot of resources. So it's surprising to me that you can start with just relatively so little and really get going.
You're not, it's how it's presented, and it's the difference. And this is sort of the beauty of diversity. You're not wrong for thinking you needed that, because everyone told you did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. So
they don't want to talk about the neighborhoods I go in, and honestly, for good reason. I grew up there. I can class now. Like, I know about block to block neighborhoods because there's literally neighborhoods I never stepped foot in for 20 years. Like, we don't go over there. It's like 3 blocks away. Not one time in 20 years, right? So I grew up with like that consciousness and awareness. So when I start talking about it, to me, to navigate in these lower income or working class neighborhoods, very easy. It's home. I know the culture, right? So I can talk to that. But the majority of people, they aren't from working class families. They've never stepped foot in a working class neighborhood. They never, they just drove by neighborhoods that have minorities in it. Okay. So they will pay and do anything not to step foot in that neighborhood. And honestly, that sometimes works out, because I'm telling you, I don't care how much money you have, you go to the wrong neighborhood as a landlord and you don't know how to navigate or work with the people, you're going to lose, even if you have more money. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of people who are giving information. They're like, yeah, go high, stay in these neighborhoods and you'll be okay. And for them, that was their truth, right? Not everyone isn't going to know how to like, honestly, if there's someone who grew up in, I'm just saying it, like trailer parks. I didn't grow up in trailer parks, but if they did, they might be able to tell you everything you need to know about navigating trailer parks that I wouldn't. And I could learn from them. But not everyone, me telling you about that is not going to be the same as them, because I don't know how to navigate all the dynamics and the politics. You know what I mean? So and that's just to say, you have definitely been told it takes a lot of money. You have definitely been pushed to go to neighborhoods that take a lot of money. But, hey, I'm not rich. So, well, you know what I mean? So I can't do that. But so I just say that so you don't feel bad that you had that thought. Like, it is what they push, because they'd rather you do that than maybe go in one of our neighborhoods that you don't take the time to learn the culture. You can really end up bad, because at the end of the day, I've been in those properties where they're like, I don't know, his name was like Dr. Stevens or something, but they spray painted all the walls, F Dr. Stevens. And Dr. Stevens thought his money would save him, but I was like, baby, you did wrong. You know what I mean? Those people, you probably filed a credit report against them. They don't care. So if you do go without the right information and you rub people the wrong way, it can end badly. So I completely understand why people don't, because you have to take the time to learn about the people in the neighborhood. Would you say you would you say that you have a better understanding of that, Robert, especially being more intensive? I'm really curious if you sort of picked up of what's going on and have a little bit more, just a vibe of what's going on.
Yeah, I think I would say that, yeah, I feel a little more intuitive to that. I mean, obviously not like perfect or whatever, but a little bit more so.
Yeah, understanding the different dynamics. And, when we work together, I do go, like, this is like, they're not going to care about this, right? It's like, don't worry. No, they don't care. They'll be cool with this. Like I do those little things and it is on purpose. So you could start sort of understanding, oh, well, if you only have this much money and you're happy with this, as long as it looks and presents nicely and it's working, it doesn't need to be necessarily upgraded because you don't have the extra money to pay $1,400 a month for the upgraded house, right? You have 900 or 1,000. So you're comfortable with this as long as it presents well. So I try to do little things like that to sort of like help you understand the nature of your tenants and that they still want things to be functional, right?
Yeah.
But like just really starting understanding they only have this much money though. So, you know, sometimes you'll take this, but not this upgrade because it saves you quite a few $100s a month, but just knowing that helps you navigate and deliver for your, I call tenants clients. I really do. So for your clients, you know what I mean? And I think that's something that is a good thing for, I think most people to do. Because when you say client, you sort of treat them differently. They're paying you this money, but you're delivering this service.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do think of them as my clients. I really do. It's not this one-way relationship. And I find that it gives back. So any last minute thoughts or anything? I'm glad you're in where you're at in Missouri. That's all we'll say about where you're at. So you're saying you some moisture problems, but you still have more houses to look at.
Yeah, there've been a couple that have popped up in the last couple of days that
Perfect.
weren't on our list before. So we're going to look at those and maybe to just, we might kind of raise our price range just a little bit to get a little bit extra stuff in there.
Yep.
So yeah. And yeah.
Yeah. And you know, you're doing exactly what you need to. Sometimes we get so stuck. Oh, sub 30K. It has to be this, but it's like, dude, just pay 45,000, like chill, like, or 50, go to 55. Like, it's okay. You'll make them extra $5,000 or $10,000 up. But what's good is that you made it with informed decision. So we've done the research, you flew out there, you're on the ground, you're looking at this price range, you're like 10K more. We eliminate a lot of these different problems we're seeing, right? But you're doing it from an informed place. So the extra 10 or whatever, 15K that you're going to raise your price point, it's not in ignorance. It is in complete understanding of the market. You still like the market and you still want to purchase, but now you're doing it with the more like, let's just pay this for that. So we avoid this. You see, it's a completely different energy of doing it with more calculation and more knowledge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what would you say to anyone who's been thinking and they haven't taken the leap? What would you say to them? Knowing that you've transformed over the last 10 weeks, what would you say to them, if anything?
I mean, you can't really get started doing anything until you take that first initial leap. So, and this is the best environment to do it in.
Thank you.
So
I'm always so proud of my investors when I get them to go from behind the screen to like traveling to the location and looking at properties. As you've been on the call, I like to say you enter to a portal from casual onlooker to like, oh, I got this. And you get a feel for the entire thing. And after this, nothing about real estate investing will be, what's the word? It's like, oh, you want me to fly out and go see a multifamily? Oh, a 20-unit multifamily? Okay, I'll be there next week. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden doing that or making those big calls or going out to see your property or expecting it firsthand and going, you know, just to invest in the cost, like it's not a big deal anymore. And then all of a sudden that just opens you up to so much more. And it also puts you ahead of the pack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So with that, we'll end our casual chat. Thank you so much, both of you guys. I'm really happy to see that. And we will see if you're there. Hopefully you're going to stay there for some time, get more houses in, as many as you can. I like to say if you're traveling anywhere, got to jump on a plane. We only look at multifamilies in the market. We only look at markets with a lot of multifamilies, and we try to see as many houses as possible. So when we go back, we can make that decision. So please add on as many as you can. But thank you for your kind words and for showing up, and Robert for like following the guidance and getting the results. I had to use Robert's like, because I have certain things that I want people to do as I'm helping them analyze. And I had to keep using Robert's as an example because some people don't want to listen. And I'm like, no, Robert did it right. Okay. This is what it looks like. And I had to I just kept using his. And you think it's little, but I tell people, you gotta listen to what I say. And sometimes that's hard for people to trust and to do. Like, you just have to listen. I know what I'm doing, right? But they always want to skip steps. And I'm always bringing them back. And you're always there. And you're like, nah, just do it like this. And I was like, boom, 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 boom. So thank you so much for that. It's sometimes a bit of a struggle to get people to just listen to what I have to say. I know that sounds real crazy, but as a coach, that's literally your biggest thing. Like, will you listen? I know what I'm doing. Like,
Right.
I do know, like, I've done this before. You're not the first. So I always appreciate when, like, I get a client like you, and you really just listen and execute versus thinking you know. And I've had people who think they know more than me. I don't know why you pay me.
Yeah.
If you think you know, I'm not gonna fight you. I'm gonna tell you what I need. But it's always super nice, and I get people who are just really just open to receive guidance and are teachable, and you know, you get the results. You know what I mean?